Hey everybody, I'm TJ Majors, spotter of the 6-cup car.
We're going to do a segment
and an
outlining all of the times they screwed up.
Do you hear something, Brett?
Okay.
Do you hear anything?
No. Do you hear anything?
No.
Don't be a jerk.
Brett Griffin, I did not spot this weekend. I did go to the drag races, though, in Charlotte, which was a lot of fun. We'll get into that in a little bit. Freddie is fanboyed out somewhere.
He is.
Likely asleep.
Probably yeah.
Asleep. So we'll skip Freddie and go straight
Why is he asleep?
To the hottest host in podcast.
Whoa.
In the podcast world.
Finally being nice to me. Thanks, guys.
I thought you were talking about Skip.
Hey, guys. Casey Boat here. Director of Marketing, Babysitting. You know what it is.
I thought it was going to Andrew next. I'm
really?
kidding,
We were
Casey.
starting
I'm
off so
kidding.
strong. So strong. Well, for the 13th time in the history of NASCAR, brothers have swept a weekend with Ryan Truex winning the Xfinity Series race in Dover on Saturday and then Martin on Sunday.
In the same car number, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, Ryan that car was phenomenal. I don't know, like watching it, being at the track, you know how you can just see when a car is going to dominate? It was that weekend for that car. Oh, yeah. Anywhere. He could run the top, the bottom, the middle. He probably could have ran to the Grotto Pizza place and back and still won that race.
I love Grotto Pizza
it is
at
good,
Dover.
Yeah. But yeah, he was last week looked like a bird without feathers. And this week he dominates the race. So congrats to Ryan and for a dominating win. And it's cool to see those. I believe that's like their home track too.
It is.
So it's cool to see them guys get a win at the home track. And Martin, obviously real happy to be back in Victory Lane, but it's good for the family. That's a good racing family and big weekend for them.
I don't think it's a secret that Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series is always fast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's who you got to beat when you show up to the racetrack. Yeah, JRM can bring, some fast cars. Last year especially, obviously, Kligerman Racing can show up with some fast cars. But week in and week out, you know who you have to beat as an organization, and it's Joe Gibbs Racing.
Yeah, you circle car numbers on the entry blank every week or the entry list of who's going to be hard to beat. And you circle the 18, 19, and 20 if they're on that list, no matter what, really.
Yeah, Truex has been trying for a long time. I was at Michael Waltrip Racing when he was coming up through the ranks in Busch North, Busch East, and whatnot, and they were really high on Truex. He got there. He shared a car in the Xfinity Series, which was, I think, maybe the Busch Series at the time, and he shared it with Trevor Bayne. And obviously, Trevor got hot. Trevor got the seat full time. And Ryan has kind of been bouncing around literally almost everywhere for 188 Xfinity races. Finally got his win. Good for him, man.
That many?
1 out of 188. Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not a very high win percentage. And again, like you said, he's been in some good situations. He's certainly been in some situations where he wasn't in competitive equipment.
Yeah.
But
at
31, 32
driver.
years old, here he is getting his first win. And look, if you look at Martin's career, Martin Truex obviously won the race yesterday at Dover, like Casey said. I mean, his career didn't really get started until late either. He was in the Cup Series for a long time. Started in the Cup Series in, hold on a minute, let me pull it up, 2004. And he didn't really get hot until 2016. If you look at his career, he had 3 wins at the end of 2015 total in his career after 10, 11 years in the Cup Series. So when you look
Then he got hot.
Then he got real hot. But you look at Michael Waltrip Racing, which was one of my favorite places I ever worked, and they went out of business after the whole Spingate thing, right? And Napa was a big part of that because Napa said, we're leaving the Cup Series and we're going to go to the Xfinity Series for a little while. They ended up going to the Cup Series with Chase Elliott and a big opportunity for them. But when they left and Aaron's had left and sponsors were leaving and Clint was kind of sitting on an island going, man, what am I going to do with my career? And it looked like Martin was probably going to be really the guy that was out and the guy that got the worst opportunity. He went to Front Row Motorsports, which was housed in Colorado. And I think at the time they had won one race with Regan Smith, a Southern 500,
Darlington.
if my memory serves me correct. And then Martin gets there in 2014. They don't win a race. In 2015, he wins 1 race. 2016, 4 races. The next year, 8 races. Obviously a champion at this point. He went from a guy that potentially was about to go out of business as a driver to a Hall of Fame career. And that was in 2016. So you look at his 20-year career, and it wasn't until the last 6 years he's really been hot.
Yeah, and even there's a couple other things on there too, like, Matt Kenseth missing that block on Denny at the end of the 500. Martin was right there, wasn't he?
Yep.
Was he right there? Yeah. So I mean, Martin's been on the verge of some really big wins, and he's won some really big races. Obviously, a champion, and he's accomplished a lot.
32 wins.
That's a lot.
Dude, that's a whole hell of a lot of wins. And you look at last year, he's sitting there fourth in points and doesn't make the freaking playoff.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard to believe. I mean, he could have been on a championship run then. Who knows, right? But congrats to Martin. I would say, though, the biggest talk of the race yesterday, maybe of the year, maybe going back to Martinsville last year, going back even further than that.
You're talking about the DGAF tour?
Don't give a fuck tour is rolling on, man. Ross Chastain is in the house, and I'm going to pay this guy probably the biggest compliment he's ever been paid in his career.
Uh-oh.
When I look back at Dover and I say, what race car drivers were good at Dover? Here's who comes to mind. Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, Carl Edwards. Like, we're talking all-star, Hall of Fame, all champions except for Carl, obviously. Kyle Busch. I mean, we're talking legends in this sport. We're good at Dover.
Greg Biffle,
and I'm talking about concrete Dover. I'm not talking about asphalt Dover. Ross Chastain has entered this conversation. Ross Chastain is leading the points. Ross Chastain won a stage yesterday. Ross Chastain is arguably the most said word name in our sport right now. He is the new Kyle Busch.
I think that's a stretch a little bit, but he's definitely, a lot of it's not because he is winning. There's a lot of scenarios that he's creating that are, but I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if they're talking about you, whether you're winning a race or you're going 17 wide into turn one at Coda and causing a wreck.
Or riding a wall at Martinsville.
Or riding a wall. He always seems to find his way into the conversation, whether it's good, bad, or we're talking about him right now. He didn't even win.
I try to get my son to do one thing in sports, and it's have a really, really, really bad short-term memory. Because if you screw up, it's hard to move forward if you focus on that screw up. If you hit a bad golf shot and you carry that to the next hole, you're done. If you miss a putt, you have a bad drive, you're mentally screwed, right? And I try to teach Bodie all the time, when you swing and miss a baseball, worry about the next swing, not the last one. Ross Chastain can screw up somebody's day in a heartbeat and mentally focus forward as good as any driver I've ever seen.
Well, he said sorry. He said sorry.
He said it a few times already.
But you can't coach how sorry he's not.
I mean, the day Denny's car got backed in, and she said sorry. That was it.
I'm just telling you, I want my kid to have the same short-term memory loss that Ross Chastain has in sports, because it's important to being great.
Drivers go through this a lot. You'll have a run every race where your car is just off a little bit, and that's where it's a lot of times them drivers, they go off a cliff, and that's where you gotta, Ross does a really good job of keeping in the game even after something bad happens like that, or a bad pit stop, anything. He needed that, and that's huge. I mean, Jimmy Johnson's probably one of the most mentally strong guys that I've ever met.
For sure.
He used to pit road penalties, something, spin out by himself. He spun out a lot by himself, but like 50 laps later, he's right back in the same spot where he was. It's guys can refocus like that, but Ross definitely does a good job of seeing the big picture at the end.
Best thing to happen to him, and I mean, I hate to say this about a guy that can't defend himself sitting here with us, but Chip Ganassi Racing had some amazing drivers. You agree with that?
I mean, you think?
Amazing drivers.
Yeah. Larson.
He had Larson. He had Martin Truex. He had some amazing drivers.
He had
Juan
still have Larson.
Juan Montoya, Jamie McMurray. He had some amazing stock car drivers.
Yeah.
He didn't really ever do with it. They didn't ever really win a lot of races.
Dominant. They were never.
Nah, man. Look at what Ross Chastain is in a terrible contract in terms of the financial side of it, and he ends up driving that car. He inherited that ride because Chip couldn't find anybody else to do it at a decent price. Ross was his decent price guy. So Ross was under contract. He made Ross get in the Cup car, and Ross is sitting there probably not in an ideal situation. He doesn't know that yet.
No.
But he's not in Chip Ganassi let him loose the minute that whole DC Solar thing blew up. Chip Ganassi didn't pick Ross Chastain up and put him in the Xfinity car. He ended up going back to Johnny Davis, still under contract with Chip Ganassi while he was there, and Colleague as well. But long story short, the best thing to ever happen to Ross Chastain's Cup career, and probably career ever, is Justin Marks. If Justin doesn't come in and buy Trackhouse, there's no way you can make me believe that Daniel Suarez, if he were at Chip Ganassi Racing, would be as fast as he is and would have won a race. I ain't buying it.
No, I mean, I don't think so. I think they're good teammates with each other. I think Ross is a very valuable asset to that place. I think Daniel is too, in his own sense. I mean, I think Ross is the more, obviously a little bit better race, can help get the cars better. But Daniel's proved he can be really competitive and fast too.
He's fast.
He's got some fast, really good guys over there. Travis Max over there. He's come a long way from where he was, and Justin and Ty and them give them the right pieces to go and be fast. So.
It's a 2-car team, and they run that third car, Project 91, which is an awesome concept. You look at Trackhouse at the racetrack, they've got LEDs behind their haulers.
It looks like Best Buy.
They've got a freaking DJ out there playing music. Like, they have changed the culture, which brings me to a point, Casey. I went to the NHRA experience, like I said, 4 wides out here at Charlotte. Talk about a badass paddock and garage area. They blow ours away. Mac Tools had a hospitality right smack dab in the middle of the garage with one team they sponsor on one side with Funny Car and one team they sponsor on the other side with Top Fuel. And their hospitality guests have the best view in all of motorsports I've ever seen from a garage perspective. It was unbelievable. Getting to walk around down there. Everybody could walk the garage.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you have a ticket,
you just gotta stay out of the roped off areas.
It holds 34,000 people. That particular drag strip does, and as long as you do what you just said, stay outside of the stanchions of the racetrack of the haulers, you're fine.
Yeah, but they put them
different than what they're doing in our Cup garage now. 2311 has a stanchion off.
But isn't for a Cup garage such as like when we have practice, a lot of times they're more active in the garage, I would say, right? So there might be more restrictions. I mean, there probably needs to be more restrictions, I would say, in NASCAR.
I mean, the thing about us now is we only practice 50 minutes, if we practice at all. So I think there's ways for us to have a cooler fan experience based on what I saw at NHRA. Best experience I've been to from a motorsports perspective in my 47 years of living, because you had access to see and do damn near everything you would want to see and do. And I mean, kids like Bodie, man, Slugger Labby was in there. He, former Cup crew chief. He's with Toyota Racing Development now. He showed Bodie and myself and the majors around, and not TJ Majors.
Good Lord.
The majors, the family.
I wasn't there.
Kevin and Max. But no, man, it was really awesome
for me.
That was my first NHRA event.
I've never been to one.
Well, you got to go.
Yeah,
you got to go. Take your girls.
I know Toyota does a great job when they promote it. It makes me want to go. So
yeah, J.R. Todd was running around in there. That was cool.
So
maybe we should just have a weekend where the garage area and somewhere with the track where there's like a tunnel to walk through. Just open it up, rope your stuff off, let the teams rope their areas off, open it up.
Saturdays are a perfect day to do that.
Yeah.
Sundays, no, because we do need some exclusivity from our partners that are paying a lot of money to feel like they're somewhere special. But Saturday afternoon, Friday afternoon.
They used to do that at a few tracks. I want to say maybe Charlotte was one of them, where it would be more open. And it was definitely for the Xfinity guys because they were.
So I got a question. Why don't we do like we have basically very limited practice now. How come there's not like an autograph session or something?
What do you mean?
You know what I mean? Like that fans can go to, because you go to these. How many tracks have you been to back where a series like smaller? You go there and they have autograph sessions where you can go and you can get an autograph. Like now, if you were to go to a Cup race next week, and just as a fan, are you going to be able to get an autograph at all?
It's going to be very difficult.
You have to stand at the
Where are you going to stand?
I personally,
that's if you're going. Are you saying you can even get inside?
Outside of it.
At Kansas, there's no chance to get an autograph unless you go to the Midway and you go to a display where your drivers, like the Chevrolet
and they're
display,
coming out there.
They're bringing a couple drivers out every couple hours. If you go to like the Westgate Resorts last weekend, Jeb Burton went and signed autographs for those guys.
Well, they should cycle the drivers.
When you look at an Atlanta Motor Speedway, there's that little not tunnel, but there's this little breezeway between the DO lot and the garage. But a lot of drivers jump on golf carts and have their guys drop them off at the side gate so they don't have to walk through there. So to your point, are you going to get an autograph if you're a fan with a general admission ticket or a grandstand ticket? No.
But I mean, if you go to a basketball game or a football game, you get there early. you can go down there and watch the players come out, warm up, get near the tunnel. But when the game comes, you go to your seat or whatever. Like there's still opportunity.
Xfinity Series does it. They had one this past weekend.
Yeah, so. I think you're bringing up a point that is a deep dive into a tunnel that we damn sure don't need to go. But here's the reality: when you look at NASCAR as a whole, when it was most popular, Winston, the cigarette brand, Sprint, the cell phone brand, which was formerly Nextel,
did a lot.
They took our sponsorship into the marketplace. And when I say that, we went to the Sprint campus in the middle of nowhere in Kansas and met thousands of their employees. We went to the Sprint store 3 times a year in market and met hundreds of race fans. Sprint was spending a lot of money on marketing and promotions and taking NASCAR into the marketplace. There's nobody doing that right now. So who would we have to rely on to do that?
I can't. I don't agree with that.
You got to rely
agree
on
with it.
You got Xfinity, for example. They do a lot for the Xfinity Series. Who's doing a lot for the Cup Series? Since you don't agree with me,
we do more with the Cup Series than you realize. We're getting back to it.
So if I don't realize, that's a problem.
Pre-COVID, it was different. We are slowly getting back to it now that things are getting back to normal. But we bring our drivers to retail stores, and we used to do a whole Philly takeover where we'd bring drivers up, and same for Cup drivers as well.
I've been to Philly takeover, and it is awesome. I do know that an Xfinity Series driver going to a store is going to draw 80 to 100 people, and a Cup Series driver is going to draw 500.
We do Cup guys too.
There's nobody taking our Cup Series sponsorship, our Cup Series as a series, to the marketplace. What does that mean? When I used to walk into a bar, I was at a bar in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Easter weekend.
Shocker.
Easter weekend. 47 TVs in there. You want to know how many was on the race? None.
That's fair.
So guess what? Somebody's got to go in there and put that on TV on. Somebody's got to do promotions in these bars. It's not present right now.
You know what? I missed that Winston preview.
That was so fun up in
I know. I went to it
the Lawrence Joel Veteran Coliseum or whatever it was.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It was pretty fun.
Back to Martin, I know a lot of the conversation last night after he won was around if he's coming back, what the plan is. And obviously, Coach's response was, you got to keep winning races. That's the biggest pitch we could possibly give to our sponsors. Do you envision him coming back next year? And what will that take?
I think if he's having fun, he comes back.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I met Martin Truex. The first time I ever met him was in the back of Dale Jr.'s white Tahoe that he had 20 years ago. We drove to Daytona. We left at midnight and drove all night to get to Daytona for it was the first year that they did the Dale Earnhardt Legacy Concert Series. They had Hootie and the Blowfish, Brooks and Dunn, Alabama. It was freaking awesome. You didn't go with us that week. That's the only freaking weekend you probably didn't ever go.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of where I was.
Hovis and Josh and all them were with us. But that's the first weekend I met Martin, and I literally didn't know who he was. And by the time we got to Daytona, and they had talked about racing, some on the way there when we weren't sleeping, I was like, man, this is that Busch North driver. Mm-hmm. And so he's really quiet, really laid back. He's not going to tell you what the hell he's doing, Casey. I can promise you that until he's 100% knows. But I think if Martin Truex is having fun like he did yesterday and like he did with the year he won a championship, I could see him coming back.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're having fun, you're not going to quit. He's probably decently paid, multi-champion, still winning races. I'm probably not quitting.
Now, what about the other brother? So part-time schedule. He capitalized on his opportunities, got the win. Now it happens.
I still think Ryan's going to have he's still going to probably bring some funding at some point to go. I don't think anybody off this win's going to say, that's my guy right now. If he goes, and I don't know how many more races Ryan has left this year, but if he goes and wins 2 or 3 more, I definitely think it opens up doors at that point. More doors or some, I think. But, he's going to have to, keep winning. It's just so competitive now. There's
not many Ryan Priestes of the world that come through, run a partial schedule, get a win, make a name for themselves, move on. There's not many Josh Berrys of the world that come through, gain a lot of popularity, have a guy like Dale Jr., Junior Motorsports, Rick Hendrick, willing to fund that project. And man, Casey, I don't think Ryan Truex moves up without a major sponsor stepping up. I know his dad has some connections and has made a lot of efforts to give Ryan opportunities to win. The question is, how much longer does he have? He's 31 or 32 years old. And when you look at Martin Truex, he didn't really get hot until he was that old. But here's Ryan with 0 Cup experience in terms of being competitive. 1 win in the Xfinity Series out of 188 starts. And look, you can race an Xfinity Series full time and have a lot of fun and make a great living. I mean, there's a lot of guys doing that right now. So I would say to Ryan Truex, have your fun, go after wins. The Cup Series ain't all it's made out to be, man. It's a dog eat dog world, and it ain't. When you're not winning, it's not fun.
You know, I think the scenario that Ryan would probably be best in is getting a couple more wins this year and then getting an offer in that car. One of the sponsors saying, yeah, we'd like to see him in one of them cars next year full time.
Yeah.
And then get a full time deal in one of them. Then let's see you put a season together. And if you can be competitive all year, put a season together and run for the championship, then I think you move. Then, I mean, you got to go and improve that, you know. And I think a couple more wins this year, maybe that opens the door there to stick around there and run a full season.
I tell you, Elliott Sadler is a different guy now that he's not racing. He's happier. He's more happy-go-lucky. He's more jovial. I was texting with a Cup driver last night that had a tough day, and I'm not going to say who it was, but he said, "Thanks, man. Wish it didn't frustrate me so much." They carry that frustration all freaking week until they get back in the car. For a lot of them, for a lot of these guys, I'm not saying all of them do it.
Single digit number, 20s, teens. What are we looking at?
I'm not telling you. A lot of guys carry that frustration though. I've been around them. Thursday morning, they're still in a bad mood because of how they ran on Sunday.
Let's head into spot on, spot off. First topic. In a test last week at New Hampshire, Christopher Bell said everything that we're doing is just a Band-Aid for the gutless engines that we have today.
Ooh.
TJ.
That's quite the comment.
Yeah, I was actually at that test. I mean, I think I'm an advocate for more motor, less tire. We've been that way for a long time, but
since we started this show.
Yeah, these guys like watching them even at Martinsville. I watch a guy downshift in the middle of the corner and just mat the throttle. And these are Cup cars. They're supposed to be a handful to drive, and I just don't. It's not a handful to drive in the right way. It's not. You know, you don't see a guy just manhandling a car. I mean, when these things snap, they snap. Like yesterday, Kyle Busch got loose in front of us, and it was out of nowhere. Like, it wasn't like I was watching him drive it sideways. Brad said he was really loose one run, and I couldn't even see it. Normally, I can tell in an Xfinity race, when Josh says he was loose, I could see it. But I could not see it. And when these things snap, they snap. We bottomed out into 3 one time earlier in the race, and the caution came out right after we did it.
Dude, you shot so far up the hill.
I thought we were done.
Yeah, I did too.
Brad had an incredible save, and we rebounded from there.
You broke rule number 1.
Traction.
Never scare the shit out of the driver. That's what you did.
He never really said anything, but like 2 or 3 spotters came down to me. He was like, holy cow. Like, Josh comes down to me. He's like, dude, Ryan just said Brad's probably just scared the crap out of himself. It scared me watching it. And I was like, oh gosh, like 3 inside, like that's not good. But yeah, I don't know. I think Christopher has a point that they're not really. These cars used to be throttle control cars. Like, you used to have to, you know, how many times back in the day did you say put an egg under the throttle, gas pedal? Dude, I didn't see any. If there were any eggs under the throttles at Martinsville, they're smashed.
They're matting them.
Yeah, everything's smashed. And I wish it was going back. And I think that's what Christopher means by this. There should be some throttle control in it, and because if you have a lot of motor, then the car's hard to get to work.
How many horsepower does Christopher's favorite car to drive have?
Probably 800 to 1,000.
Yep. How many do we used to have? 800 to 1,000.
Yeah.
We probably have the most expensive 550 horsepower motor in the world that we run at Daytona, Talladega.
Yeah.
I was at the drag strip where they had 11,000 plus horsepower. So when they had 4 wides out there with 44,000 horsepower rumbling down the racetrack, it was exhilarating. One piston has more horsepower than our entire motor, and that's because of the restrictions. My question is, and we won't ever know the answer to this, between the team owners, the OEMs, and the NASCAR, who is hell-bent against giving us more horsepower?
I just think if you do it, there's a lot of other things that have to be looked at, because you can't just put 800 horsepower motor in these cars. I mean, do you see the corner speeds now? Like, could you imagine how much faster?
But they don't have to stop to make the corner now either.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's other things that need to be looked at. Probably they're just too gripped up. I mean, I think Denny had a comment months ago about just what do you say? There's too much tire. Like, and honestly, one of the better races that I saw start was the trucks on rain tires. They were on edge, but a controllable edge. You know what I mean? So it was kind of.
I think people are ignorant to Denny's comments in terms of what they hear versus what he says. You have to realize he's speaking from two perspectives. One of them is a driver
and an owner.
The other one is an owner.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear a guy like him talking, whether you like Denny Hamlin or don't like Denny Hamlin, you need to realize he wants the best for the driver and the owner. No different than if Brad makes the comments. Brad is way more reserved. Brad is way more politically correct. I don't blame Brad for that, but I'm telling you, when a guy like Denny or a guy like Brad speaks, they have multiple interests in mind.
Yeah, I agree.
And so for Christopher Bell to come out on the heels of Denny making some comments about more horsepower and Kevin Harvick tweeting to Doug Yates about making more horsepower, I know engine builders want to make horsepower.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Well, Kevin obviously wants more horsepower in him too.
I mean, when you look at the drivers and owners, some owners, listen, there are owners out there that want to save money at all costs. That's why this new car came to be. And I'm not going to rattle off what owners it was that was pushing and advocating for this car, but they wanted to save money. That was the whole point of this car. Save us money. Save us money. Hell, it ain't saving money yet. Now we have this low horsepower. So I'm all for what Bell said. Spot on for him having the balls to say it. And as we've said on here for 5 years, 6 years, however, I don't know how old we are, TJ.
You're old.
We're getting old. You just referenced a story from 20 years ago. So
neither one of us can see. TJ just admitted he wears readers. I need readers.
That's good. I mean, yeah, because Dale Jr.
I just said the word. What did I say, Andrew? What word was it? I said confidentiality.
Confidentiality,
and it was confident.
Confidently.
Yeah, but I saw confidentiality with these old eyes. But we're old. The show's old, and we want more horsepower.
Next topic, Parker Kligerman flips off Corey Heim following contact that ended Kligerman's day at Dover. Heim responded after the race by saying, "I got no reason to make energy." Whoa. I need those glasses.
You need readers.
Yep.
Heim responded after the race by saying, "I got no reason to make enemies. It was just an accident on my part." Spot on, spot off. Brett.
I think anytime drivers are flipping each other off, I'm spot on. Anytime they're talking about it, I'm spot on. Anytime somebody gets mad at anybody right now, I'm spot on. I'm here for the entertainment, and this is part of it. And, man, racing is a passionate sport, and people don't realize the amount of hours that go into making a race car ready to race. And when somebody messes up your day, it's easy to be frustrated, TJ.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of racing right there. And this is the Xfinity series. I mean, Corey's learning. He's got 3 or 4, maybe not even Xfinity starts. And Dover. And Dover is not an easy track.
No, that's why I made a comment about Ross, man. Like, you're fast at a hard place.
Yeah, and it's not easy. I honestly feel like the Xfinity cars were more of a handful than the Cup cars were there. Cup cars are so binded by the air when you're manipulated by the air so much. So they have to stay a certain distance apart at certain parts of the exit of the corner there. Otherwise, you just lose the nose. And it's all timing. You got to have the right timing. And in Xfinity, you can roll up there and get your left front out and roll up underneath somebody like we used to, and you can see them wiggle and they get underneath them and stuff, and it's fun. And Corey did that. And when you get out to the wall at Dover where the walkover is there in turn 2, it gets tight. Like, I mean, when I say tight, I don't mean the car not turning. I mean the guy is up against the wall and the guy on the inside of him is right up against him. And you mess up by 6 inches, you're either the guy on the inside is hitting the inside wall, bouncing off the other guy, or the guy on the outside is getting turned down there. So,
speaking of that crossover bridge, I've been across the crossover bridge, but I've never sat in those seats that exist at Dover in turn 3. That's got to be some of the best seats in sports.
I don't think I mean,
you be scared?
Yeah, a little bit probably.
I ain't gonna lie to you, I might be scared if they start flipping.
That's what I'm saying. And
I've seen people flip there.
There has been a crash back there, and my guy was, I think the start of it was Matt Kenseth in like 04-ish, 05-ish, and he spun out. And like 25 seconds later, Donnie Neuenberger came through there and started flipping down the backstretch. So
I saw Logano flip there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about Logano. Yeah, that was.
But that's got to be the coolest seat in sports.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, would you want to face turn 3 or down the backstretch?
I'd want to face down the backstretch to see what's coming and go.
Because there's usually there's some good wrecks.
I don't like surprises.
Yeah, that'd be a heck of a seat.
Continuing on the topic of our favorite topic of the day, Brennan Poole says Ross Chastain, quote, probably needs to get his butt whooped after contact with the one that ended Poole's day. Ross said after the race, he owes Poole a big apology and a bit more. Spot on, spot off. TJ.
I'm spot off. I mean, just unnecessary, really. It took out Larson, too. I mean, it was right in front of us. I mean, we were right behind Larson, and just unnecessary, that part of the race. And now, I mean, an apology doesn't give the guy his points back, doesn't give the guy a race back in his career, doesn't give him the car that's destroyed back. It doesn't give the 5 guys their car back. You know what I mean?
Or Brennan, who doesn't necessarily have a
well, that's what
top
I'm saying.
ride.
Brennan lost that race.
I tell you what else Brennan don't have. A good hairdresser. His hair looks horrible. He looks like, remember when you used to put sun in on your hair as a kid?
Yeah. Did you see Noah's hair? We're going to talk about hair.
I think that was a bet, though.
Noah's hair. Holy cow. He looked Amish. If he'd had one of them little beards and the little trousers on with the little buttons right here above his collarbone, he'd have been like the perfect Amish kid.
Can we
That bowling
say that?
movie?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. I'm spot off for Brendan making this comment. If you're going to go whoop somebody's ass, go
Well,
whoop it.
that's what I was getting at. Okay. Probably, I mean, if you're going to do it,
He didn't say he needs to do it. He said somebody
you're the one
needs
talking.
to.
Well,
you're the one with the wrecked car.
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. There's a bunch of I noticed yesterday the amount of pansies on Twitter was at an all-time record high, and this is a pansy
does that
comment.
include you?
I'm pretty sure I'm not a pansy. When you look at, here's the Brendan Poole thing. I'm spot off for him saying somebody needs to whoop his butt or he needs his butt whooped. I'm spot on for Danielle Trotta. She is married to Robbie Benton. Robbie Benton is a GM kind of guy over at Rick Ware Racing, a guy I've known a long time. I have
Really
a ton
good
of
guy.
respect for. And she was burning Ross to the ground on the Twitter, and I am spot on, and I am here for it.
Wow. I didn't know.
Well, she's also friends with them too. So, and she sees the kind of work that they put in. People who are fighting to get sponsorships for just even one race. I mean, this is their one race to be able to
Her
prove.
Twitter was on fire.
So Brennan's in a position where he has very limited opportunity, and he's just trying to go out there, have a solid, quiet day, and maybe get another opportunity, and that might lead to something else. Well, this just completely ended his opportunity. So
I'll say it, man. Listen, Ross screwed up, and Ross took
He
out
did.
Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson later impeded Ross's path at one point during the race to help Martin Truex go on to win. I'm not saying that's why he won, because obviously they had a restart pit strategy played out and all those other things. But at some point, TJ has said it on here many times that Ross doesn't believe anybody is going to do anything to him. And until they do, he's not going to stop. There was a clip of Tony Stewart talking about, Dale Sr., Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett, like all those guys. If you messed with them, I saw Dale Jarrett get wrecked by Ryan Newman at Bristol. I went down to Bob and I said, did he say anything? Bob said, nope. I said, he's going to wreck the dog food out of this guy. Guess what happened when Ryan Newman come back around? He wrecked the ever-living dog shit out of him. And guess what Ryan Newman won't do anymore? He won't wreck Dale Jarrett. Well, until somebody does that, because nobody's retaliated yet.
I mean, technically Denny did,
No,
but it didn't
that's
really work
lame.
out too well.
That is lame. Denny wrecked himself as much as he wrecked Ross. That was a lame excuse of
The
wrecking
idea
somebody.
was there.
yeah, I agree. That was that he took himself out with it. So that doesn't.
That's not an eye for an eye.
No,
I think Ross has 5 eyes and Denny has none as of right now, if we're keeping score.
if Freddie was here, he'd be. Denny's great.
Denny is great. I love Denny. Listen, I just think it's crazy how much Ross Chastain has entered the conversation is in this sport right now. There's nobody talked about more than he is.
Ross left with what he finished P2.
P2,
Hey.
stage win.
I mean, solid day for Ross.
Can I ask a quick question?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Do you think drivers are afraid to retaliate after Denny tried to and got penalized for it?
I think they're afraid of Ross. I think they're afraid if they get him back, he's just going to get them again. Like I think the don't give a f- to Andrew is real. Like, I mean, why hasn't somebody paid him back? How many people are mad at him? 5, 6?
I think the whole garage at
Yeah, I was
this
going
point.
to say.
I think there was a point when his own teammate was mad
Yet
at him.
he's leading the points.
Yeah.
He's contending to win races.
I think that, to your point, Andrew, there's a lot more at stake if they were to retaliate.
Is this guy the new Dale Earnhardt? in terms of how he races. And see, are people intimidated by Ross Chastain? Is that a fair question? Why aren't they doing anything back to him?
I don't know that they're intimidated by him. I don't think he does it like, oh, I just want to wreck this person. I think he truly just wants to get to the front and doesn't care who's in his way.
And so did Dale Earnhardt. He meant to rattle his cage. He said,
look, man, the guy's leading the points, contending for wins.
I know people are going to get mad going, Ross Chastain ain't Dale Earnhardt. No shit. I know that.
But that train's shifting gears. I can tell you that.
Just making a point.
All right, let's move on. In the final pit stop of the race, Truex, Blaney, and Bell took 2 tires, while Chastain, Keselowski, Byron, and others took 4. Truex ultimately edged out Chastain. Spot on, spot off on that strategy.
You got to be spot on. He won the race, right?
Yeah,
for Truex. We talked about it on here. Now, this is different, Casey, because there's only 8 or 9 cars on the lead lap at the time this caution flies. So if you're running 8th or 9th, can you get 2 tires and get to the front? Well, it's hard because those first 2 guys have such a big gap because they're so far gone with a lot of lap cars between them. When you enter pit road, there is a time difference. 3rd place isn't right on 2nd place's butt. But when you look at the strategy, come out on the front row with this few laps to go. 7, 8 laps, you get a good restart. The guy who gets the lead and gets that 8 to 10 car length advantage is probably going to win the race. I think this is the time where teams are looking at this and crew chiefs are looking at this and finally realizing we need to grow a pair. We need to make a big call here. There's so many crew chiefs on pit road that say, do what the leaders do. Coming to pit road. How many times have you heard that as a spotter? When you're running 7th, TJ, yellows out, pits are open, crew chief says, do what the leaders do. Sometimes that may be the right call, but sometimes you got to do what's right. When I look at Ryan Newman's career, I would hate to know or love to know how many races he won based solely on end of the race pit strategy, because Matt Borland consistently put him in a position to win the race. That's what James Small did yesterday with a 2-tire move. If Martin gets 4 tires, he comes out 3rd or 4th, he's probably not winning that race, just like Ross did.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's a great call, great move. There was a few more laps left. I think there was 7 to go when we took the green. That was a little more than I probably would have wanted to be comfortable with, but he still made it work, and it was fine. So I know there was a decent amount of wear yesterday, which was kind of cool to see the fall off, and you could see guys start to struggle. It's still hard to pass.
A lot of guys cording tires.
Yeah, early on. It was challenging race, and that was the winning move. We were P6, and there was 8 cars on the lead lap, so we were going to take 4 no matter what, because there were so many lap cars between the leader, Truex, and us. By the time he was pulling out of his stall, and we just cleared him.
Yeah, I saw
so
that.
It didn't make sense for us to take 2 because we were gonna come out in the thick of it. So we just got 4.
Where'd you finish?
8th. We got super tight. We restarted 5th. And
you guys had a good day yesterday, though. You and Busher.
Yeah, we had a little issue early there. We were leading, come out 2nd on the pit stop, and then had a penalty for a tire that got away from the front there, and that's part of it. And rebound. That's the strong part to me is rebounding in that place. It's not easy. It's not easy to go to the back. I mean, when I say the back, we had to restart tail end of all the cars.
That's not easy.
And we
had
a
recipe to get lapped.
Well, the next run was a green flag stop too, and we ended up staying on the lead lap. We pitted a lap. We were on the lead lap when we pitted. We made our stop. It came out behind Ross, passed him in the first 2 laps, and moved on. So, and then we drove all the way up to 12th. So to drive from the mid 30s to 12th in a run is pretty solid. I mean, that's
passing a lot of cars.
Brad did a really good job, and Matt and them, they had a really good car, and we were able to get back up there. And that's tough play with this car. It's hard to do. Like you don't pass that many cars a run. So the track widened out. It was able, if your car was good, you could move around. I mean, still, if you moved up, sometimes we were a little too loose to even move up. So Brad had to literally look like Kevin Harvick and them rolling right around the line. And tough place, but definitely a good call. Spot on for their call there. That got them the win, and I don't think you can ever spot off a call that wins.
Spot on, spot off. Continuing on a similar topic, Larson says you can take it for whatever it might be. It was a long, frustrating day for me and another day where I get caught up in something that wasn't my fault. This comes after the period Larson held up Chastain on the track during his battle for the lead against Martin Truex Jr. And I know we talked a little bit about this, but I guess spot on, spot off for what you think might be coming for Ross and I guess, Larson's comments. TJ?
I mean, it is a long day. There's 2 cars that had really long days yesterday, and it was the 5 and the 14.
22.
Yeah, Joey was actually until halfway point it started to go without, but like the 14 was bad had a bad.
The 3.
The 3, but that started in practice. Obviously, the 3 had a long day too. So that's it's like a Bristol on steroids. To getting out of the way there is not easy either, and everything closes up. It's like everything closes up on the exit so tight. If you're a lap car, sometimes it's hard to stay out of the way and not get caught up in something because they're trying to get around you and it's hard. So definitely, I can see Kyle's frustration, just kind of caught up into something he didn't. The same thing the week before, he gets caught up in a wreck that he didn't start, but it's part of it. I don't think anything's going to happen from it.
Do you think stage 1, and listen, man, as a fan, stage 1 was exciting. It was fun. We had all the things. We had all the elements that you would potentially want at Dover. Do you think we had all that because we didn't get to qualify? Do you think if we qualify and all the fast cars are in the front and the slow cars are in the back, that Daniel Suarez is going to wreck?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, the variety – and same thing with Xfinity. Xfinity was the same way. I mean, you look at the results of the Talladega race; they're going to be mixed pretty big, and you're going to have much more variety in that top 20, top 10, even. You're going to have much more variety up there than you would normally on a qualifying day, for sure. Big time.
I was a big fan of it. I was a big fan of no qualifying going into that race. To your point, Casey, Larson had a rough week. My man gets T-boned at Talladega, where he's hosting a race. A high-paying dirt race. His teammate flips and injures his vertebrae, and he's out for 3 to 4 weeks. He gets to Dover, and not of his making, he's running beside a Brennan Pool, and Pool gets wrecked and turns, slides up the racetrack, and Larson creams him. So Larson's probably very frustrated, especially with how fast his cars have been, because there's no doubt who the best race car driver at Dover was in that field yesterday, in my mind, is Kyle Larson. Behind him probably is Martin Truex. If Matt Kenseth were still there, if Tony Stewart were still there, Jimmy Johnson, I don't know where Larson would rank, but they're not there anymore. And McMurray and I had a conversation about this years ago and basically said, man, when some of these top guys go, how good is Kyle Larson going to be at Dover? So it's got to be one of the tracks that he circles. And these guys will tell you, they go through the schedule and they circle certain tracks knowing I'm going to be a bad there. I'm going to have a chance to win there. I'm going to have a chance to dominate. So I think any remarks that Larson makes are out of pure frustration, and rightfully so. He's one of the best. Frustrated. He knew Ross screwed his day up, and at the end of the race, he tried to do the same to Ross.
This is a perfect segue into the DBC A-Main, where we chat about what's going on in the dirt world. And Brett, you said it. So Hendrick Motorsports president Jeff Andrews says the team will evaluate the races that drivers do outside of the Cup Series, but says that drivers can get something different out of it than a racing simulator. And this comes after Alex Bowman becomes the second HMS driver this season to be out of the car due to injury. I know Stenhouse says that he stays more sharp racing sprint cars, and the same with Larson, and that it won't make them stop racing, having Bowman be out. What do you guys take from this, and what would you do in this situation?
I think as a driver, they have the most fun of their lives in those sprint cars. I think, and I've talked to guys that have driven sprint cars, stock cars, drag race cars, whatever. They're addicted to those damn sprint cars and how fun they are to drive. The high horsepower, the amount of yaw, the amount of car control you need. And at the end of the day, I feel like we can't wrap these guys in bubble wrap and keep them safe. I mean, Kyle Larson said that he thinks Talladega is more dangerous than racing a sprint car. I don't know if that's true. I don't know where he would come up with that other than his own personal experience. Clearly, he knows how much danger he's in when he wrecks at Talladega and he sees his roll cage broken and potentially pointed at him. I mean, the fear in his voice about his cockpit having damage was real, but at the same time, as a fan, I see Talladega as super dangerous, right? I don't see Martinsville is super dangerous. I see every time they get in these sprint cars as super dangerous. I wouldn't let my kid race one of those things, and he's 10, to save my life because it looks freaking dangerous, and that's what makes it amazing for people to go watch other people, drivers do something that they aren't brave enough to do. I am not brave enough to get in one of those sprint cars and go around there at 130 miles an hour, wide open, yawed out with a bunch of other people with open wheels around me and flip down the racetrack. That's what makes them amazing. That's what makes them have hero cars. That's what makes them sell sponsorship. And that is the world that Kyle Larson came up in. It's not the world that Kevin Harvick come up in. And how many times have you seen Kevin Harvick's kid in one of those things? None, right? Larson's kid's out there in one. Clint Boyer's kid's out there in one. They came up in the dirt world, and I came up loving dirt racing, but not having the balls to do it. I can tell you that.
Yeah, these guys love their dirt racing. And if they're happy doing it, I think you got to let them do it. I mean, that's what – I mean, I enjoy watching it. So, I mean, I like to know that there's sprint car racing coming up even this week. I mean, there's some races that I'm going to watch because I know these guys are going and they're going to make it. They're going to make it good, and they're good. You
raced. Can you do that?
I would drive a sprint car. Yeah, my dad drove a sprint car when I was little, and I grew up around dirt tracks, and I wanted to race. That's what I wanted to do in the beginning. I wanted to race a sprint car. So
you would do it right now?
I would go out there right now. Yeah,
with a bunch of people around you.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be exciting because I'd probably work my way up to it, but I'm not going out there going wide open.
I mean, if you would like a shot, we have a few if you're interested.
Well, the midgets don't scare me like at all. You wouldn't get in a midget?
I ain't getting nothing. I'm old and fat now. I'm done.
I think it'd be fun. I mean, I think the midgets would be fun. The only thing I don't like is some of them tracks the midgets go to, they are flying, and I mean
ripping.
And if they hook, they're going to continue to flip 12, 13 times in the air.
I mean, there are times I even saw Carson Elledge wrecking, and I'm like, oh gosh,
yeah.
Please, don't even get me started.
But please be okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot of these open wheel guys. I mean, Gavin Boschelle, I'm working with him on some stuff. Like it tears my nerves up.
But they love it,
That's
man.
what makes it awesome.
But I think
it is.
I think what was really cool too is Larson spent a lot of the season, unfortunately, not racing Cup, and he was doing what he loves, running on dirt. I mean, getting to see that so close because he ran for our team and dominated like every time he got in the car. A lot of people are saying that helped him get the championship that very next year. And it truly, I see it because you see his mindset. You see him living life. They got in their motorhome and they just drove to different races, and that helped them get back to the proper mindset to really race because they love it rather than feeling like they have to do it. And I truly believe that helped him get that sponsorship that next year.
I mean, Chase Elliott likes to snowboard.
Yep.
I mean, let him go. I mean, that's what he likes to do. So,
yeah, I am all for letting these guys have a life because why would you sideline yourself for 20 years of your career and not have a life when at the end of the day you might get hurt at your job and you might not ever get to have a life?
Yeah, and luckily NASCAR has a thing in place too that if something does happen,
as we should.
Yeah, and it's great that those guys can come back. The pressure's on them to win, but there is an opportunity to not throw away your season. And normally that didn't happen back in the day either. I mean,
if you take off for personal reasons, you shouldn't get a waiver.
Yeah.
If you take off for health reasons, you should always get a waiver. I don't care where your health reasons came from. If it's you caught the flu, if it's you caught COVID, if it's you broke your arm, your finger, your toe, I don't care. If you have a legitimate health concern, you should always get a waiver because in no other sport would you penalize a team for a player having an injury or a health problem. And that should not be the case here either. If the crew chief gets hurt or if he has whatever, it doesn't affect the standings. And that should be the case with the drivers. NASCAR does that 100% perfect.
Well, be sure to tune into Dirt Vision because there's a ton of racing this week. I know I'll be watching World of Outlaws from Ohio at Eldora. So be sure to check that out on top of my favorite place, Millbridge. Can't miss it. Dirt Vision will have y'all covered.
I watched a lot of Dirt Vision over the weekend.
I bet you did.
You're having quite a lot of time on your hands.
I mean, in the evenings, there's a lot of good racing on this weekend. So
let's move on to Reaction Theater.
I find it hilarious that Denny Hamlin in his podcast obviously has NASCAR so frazzled that when he goes on his podcast and complains about the green flag passing at Talladega, NASCAR Twitter posts that we had 308 passes for the lead during green flag at Talladega, the most ever, insulting even the NASCAR fan with a half an ounce of intelligence that knows that you track lead changes at the line. Get off Twitter, hurry up and fix a car. How about that?
Was there really that many lead changes?
That's what NASCAR said.
So now we're counting it like every time the bumpers do this.
Yeah.
So during the green flag stops at Martinsville, obviously a lot of passing with quotes around it took place, okay, which means positions changed. They weren't actual passes on the racetrack. So people were complaining about how hard it is to pass. So a graphic was posted by NASCAR that said how many green flag passes occurred. So Denny engaged and basically called them liars and said, you can't count some of these things as passes that you're counting as passes. So he and Mike Ford had quite the exchange on Twitter. And at the end of the day, it's NASCAR's way of telling fans that you're wrong. We are getting passes. And so that's what this call was about. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just telling you. I'm just giving you the context.
Can one of these guys that get wrecked by Chastain grow some balls and annihilate his ass already? I am so tired of seeing this guy do the same thing week in and week out and just being like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to do it. Oh, I'm just a little baby that doesn't know how to drive on the track. Somebody take him out.
He's your points leader.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say he finished second. He's been competitive all year, and that's your points leader. So, I mean, you might want to reevaluate your statements there. Great call, but, I mean, you might want to reevaluate. He's kind of right in the beginning. Somebody's going to stand up, but, yeah.
Who's it going to be? Who would he wreck that wouldn't put up with it?
Kyle Busch, maybe?
I don't know. I honestly, 15 years ago, I probably could have named 20 guys.
I'm going to name you one guy he better not hit.
Who?
Michael McDowell. If he touches Michael McDowell will flip him over the grandstand back stretch. You don't hit Michael McDowell.
So
he's the modern day Ricky Rudd. That's why you never see nobody hit Michael McDowell.
Put him over a hood. I mean,
again, you don't hit Michael McDowell on the racetrack.
I don't know which guy is going to get out and confront Ross on pit road, and not when I don't mean just have a conversation.
How much you think Ross weighs?
$180.
No.
$175. $170.
65.
Yeah, maybe.
$170.
I mean, he's not.
He's got to be muscle because he works out with that Josh Wise guy.
He's got a lot of beers, so that's probably 6 pounds.
Yeah, he's got that beard going. He scares people for some reason.
I mean,
what are they scared of, Casey?
I think Ross is a nice guy outside the
Ross,
car.
yeah, Ross.
I don't know.
I like Ross.
I'm just pointing out stuff. I'm not saying anything bad about him.
I don't think that people are scared. I think they're scared of like additional repercussions that might come from it.
Why are we
outside of
talking
Ross.
about it then? Just handle it. Wow.
But what is that going to do?
I mean, then just take it. And don't say anything to the media.
She's scared.
I mean,
SKEERED.
Maybe Brennan should have got like, I'd like to thank Ross. I really appreciate getting wrecked by him. I'm on the team on the club now.
I'm telling you right now, Brennan needs a Sun-In sponsorship. That's his go-to.
I mean, I feel like we should just start thanking Ross when he wrecks us. You know, just like thanking him.
I mean, there is a hashtag.
Thank you, Ross.
Thanks, Ross.
Thanks, Ross. I mean,
You gave us a lot of things to talk about today, so thanks, Ross.
you guys just got wrecked by Ross. Thank you.
We should have had Ross on today in
I know.
Freddie's absence.
Yeah.
I don't think
but we
Ross
have to
will
make a
ever
deal.
touch
Ross
this show.
has been on our show twice. He did one in studio. He did one at live in Dover, ironically.
Oh, yeah.
We just have to make a deal with him that we can't ask him anything about wrecking people.
What are we going to talk about then?
Watermelon farming.
Well, he'll tell you all about that.
I mean, it is pretty cool, his story. So,
And
All
his
right,
brother
let's-
ran the Xfinity race?
yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
And he spots too.
Sometimes.
Whatever.
He's terrible on iRacing.
Hey, Brett, what's worse? Ross Chastain taking out a Rick Ware car, or that Rick Ware car was actually passing Austin Dillon for position? Austin Dillon, what the
It's funny, we just said on the show how slow the 3 was. Like the 3 was flat out struggling from the word go. I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
But if you're if you're a key partner, and listen, Chevrolet has 3 key partners. Those key partners are Hendrick Motorsports, Trackhouse, and Richard Childress Racing. If you're a key partner of an OEM, any key partner, and you're getting passed by Rick Ware Racing, you're having a really bad day because Rick Ware is limited people, limited budget. Obviously, drivers. I mean, Austin Dillon is presumably a lot better race car driver than Mr. Poole is.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to give them a little bit of credit because they've been fairly, decent for their, what their expectations. They've been, to me, kind of meeting their expectations a little bit with what they've been, given and their equipment and stuff too. So, but yeah, it's the three. I don't know what
the best thing to happen to Rick Ware Racing is Tommy Baldwin, Robbie Benton, and now they've got two guys in the car that want to be good race car drivers. They don't have any other agenda. It's hard to be. Listen, man, Kyle Petty. I watched him. He won, I think, 5 Cup races in his career. He won at places like Sabco Racing. And when he got to Petty Enterprises, man, it was so hard because he was in the middle of the family business. He was trying to be the CEO. He was he's trying not to tear your dad's car up. You're trying to do a lot of things. There's a lot of back things going on in your brain outside of just being a race car driver. So I think it's a good move for a lot of things Rick Ware's got going on. But you don't want to, I'm telling you right now, can you imagine what went through Austin Dillon's mind if your spotter says clear behind the 15?
Well, I'm not going to, Kyle wasn't, I know he had a little bit of damage there, but he wasn't as strong as, just off a little bit that weekend. So, but Austin, I think, I'm going to guess the backup car wasn't.
Kyle Busch had a chance to win the stage till he sped. He's dominating the race. He's not happy with how his car's handling, but
I'm trying to remember.
He has the lead, and he's leading the race up until they pit. Once they pitted at lap 20, he got a speeding penalty. Then they tried to flip some strategy and put him up there on old tires, like you said.
He
had
got
front
some
end
damage.
He had tons of damage from the Suarez wreck.
He had some damage stuff. So
yeah, the damage is huge there. Anyway, great observation. Austin Dillon will be back. I bet he outruns Rick Ware Racing at Kansas.
All right, well, don't forget to leave us an audio message whenever you would like. Just head to anchor.fm/dormbumperclear and click the message icons. We'll keep playing the best ones each week.
Where's our songs at, man?
I know.
Where's Jeb at? Where's the rapper?
I was hoping for one.
Mike Davis stole the rapper.
He takes the rapper in my boat at the same time.
You need a rapper on your boat. That'd be fun.
Let's move on to Ask DBC. Use hashtag AskDBC each week to send us your questions, and we'll be sure to pick the best ones. This first one is from the Officer Nasty. That's an interesting name. Besides the obvious weekly schedule disruption, how does a Monday race affect a race team, and how do teams manage it? TJ.
Sounds like a Call of Duty name or something, doesn't it?
That's not what I was thinking, but okay. Go for it.
Thankfully, they called the race. The weather was very rough. Just rainy. It's just miserable. And NASCAR was very proactive in calling the race. They wouldn't have got it in. There was the track. There was never a dry enough time to get the track. Even when the radar was clear, it was still that stuff you couldn't see. So there's no way they could have got everything done. But they were very proactive. I think they called it early enough too to help the fans that might have been on the way. You know what I mean? It was early enough to help alleviate some of that.
So the question is, how does this affect the race team?
Man, I don't really think it affects the race team that much. We've done this. How many times have you been in a rain out?
Oh God,
it's just another day. You go back to the hotel. It's kind of annoying.
But there are people at the shop that are also working on cars too. So it's not like nobody's there.
Yeah. The things are getting handled at the shop and,
well, the hay's in the barn for Dover when you get a rain out on Sunday, but the hay's not in the barn at Kansas. So the guys can go grab a couple beers, sit in the hotel lobby. Engineers work on setups, and
people go back to the room and work.
Yeah. It's not all is not lost just because it's rain out. And man, that's the first time we've had a race called that early in a very long time.
What I thought.
And I thought props to NASCAR, props to the racetrack, props to Fox, because a lot of times I feel like TV has pressure to come on the air. Because they've sold all the ads. They know the most eyeballs are going to be on as soon as they go on air, and obviously at the end of the race with checker flags. But props to them for not being greedy and being respectful to people's time and doing the right thing.
You'd have liked this. Yesterday, so Dover has one a year now?
Yes.
Yeah. So during the national anthem, or after the national anthem, I go back and I look down there. There is a line to get in still.
I saw it. It was like a mile long.
It was forever long. Yeah. So props to all the people that came back on Monday. I thought the crowd was very good for a Monday. Go great for that area to. I mean, it was a good show. I mean, and I think the race was hard, but the track widened out. The tires were a handful, and it was a good race. Considering
it was a great race, it was one of the best races I've seen at Dover in a long time.
This next one is from John. There's only one question: why does Brett blacken his hamburger buns?
Well, I might have left it in the toaster a little bit too long. So what I do with my buns is I love butter. I love butter on my buns. Do you like butter on your buns? Casey, do you like your buns buttered?
Yes.
Same. So I have the spray butter, and I spray my buns. Okay, I get them nice and buttery, and then I put them in the toaster.
Shiny.
And I left them in the toaster too long, and then I have black buns. And my friend Bernard Pollard, former NFL player, big NASCAR fan, he basically tweeted it out making fun of my black buns. And I took offense to that because even though they were black, they still tasted good.
You ate them?
Hell yeah, I ate them.
Oh, gosh, dude.
We had a beef tenderloin burger from
Can't
Omaha
just make
Steaks.
2 new buns.
Well, I could have, but after I tasted my bun, I liked it. And I'm a picky bun guy. I normally don't like anything black that's burnt buns. But yesterday, I let it go, and I tried it, and it was amazing.
What'd Bernard say? He just picked on you?
He's picked on me. He didn't like cheese on my fries. I like cheese on my buns and butter on my buns. And ketchup and mayonnaise.
So
mixed
whenever you grill, do you butter your buns out there too and put it on the grill or Blackstone or whatever?
Yeah.
Have you been to Dario yet?
I have not had a hot dog from Dario
You just
yet.
got to go there. I mean, you'll
I'm going to
there.
go. Maybe we should go today.
They'll butter your buns.
Yeah.
Before we move on, back on the Ross topic. Thanks, Ross.
Again.
Adam Stern just announced that UPS is sponsoring Ross at Darlington, doing a vintage UPS scheme. And I think it's pretty ironic that, FedEx, UPS.
Wow.
I think pretty bold. That's a great sponsor.
Listen, man, I think Trackhouse is making a lot of smart moves in the sponsorship world, and I think they've got a lot of irons in the fire, and I think they're setting themselves up to be a 2-car fully funded team for a long time, and then you can really go to work on that 3rd car.
Remember the commercials where
what happens with the charters
would pull up next to each other or something? They would have that could come back.
I mean, once again, man, we talk about it all the time, like the Dale Jarrett "Will you drive the truck" ad campaign.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And UPS did so much to take us into the markeplece. Like I love sponsors who come in and activate in our space because the
that
sky's
car
the limit.
became iconic. Like
it did.
You knew it. Like you see it all over the place.
I mean, you went everywhere with Dale Jr. and we all know how famous Dale Jr. was. I went everywhere with Dale Jarrett, and you couldn't go anywhere with that guy because of the damn commercials. Mm-hmm. It wasn't because he was a famous NASCAR driver. I mean, yes, if we were in the Pocono market and we went to eat around the racetrack, of course everybody's going to know him. But we'd be in the middle of nowhere at a golf outing or something, and everybody knew him because of the Drive the Truck campaign.
Yeah, I think Justin, what he's doing, when you think if you're taking the sponsorship side of it, I mean, he's the future. Like his team, what they're doing, that's what you'll see in the garage. Everyone do in a few years.
UPS comes back, they're leading the points. I mean,
it's just pretty funny. I mean,
it's 1999 all over again.
If I were their partnership marketing team, I would be going towards UPS as well.
I think UPS started in 2000.
Yep.
No, 2001. I think Quality Care ended in 2000, and 2001 would have been the year that the Motorcraft moved to Elliott Sadler with the Wood Brothers, and Dale Jarrett got the UPS deal. And at the time, that UPS deal was the biggest sponsorship deal in the garage that Robert Yates landed. Big deal. Miss those days.
Let's move on to what an idiot. Brett, based off of your Twitter feed yesterday, I think you might have a few, and I'm afraid of what they might be.
Well,
first of all, how sober were you when you were tweeting some of the things that you
I didn't drink a drop
that's
yesterday.
A dumb question already.
Actually, I had 2 beers. I had 2 beers in the backyard.
That's more than a drop.
Because we bought, Michelob Ultra ain't that strong. We bought ducks. My daughters ordered ducks from California.
Ducks, like real ducks?
Ducks. 4 ducks are in my living room.
You had 4 ducks shipped from California?
4 ducks showed up at my house from California in a box. Apparently, they can be born and go 2 days, and that's how long it took them to get here. And there's ducks. There's ducks in my fucking house, and they're going in the garage soon. I'm going to Buffalo, New York today. Did you know that?
No, that's cool. Lucky you.
Yeah, somebody sent me Danielle Bennett, Diva Q, on the Twitter. She told me that I need to go to this place called Charlie the Butcher. You ever been there?
No, but sounds good.
Yeah. So anyway,
What are
I'm
you
on
getting?
an onion farm up there.
I like onions.
Casey,
Bring some
back to your point. What an idiot. It's everybody that's on Twitter at this point that sends me stupid shit.
Now
They
you
can
know
all
why I
win.
don't
What an
tweet.
idiot.
Now you know why I stay off Twitter.
I think it's funny.
I honestly
My
like.
favorite part is people think I'm upset when I'm tweeting them. I'm not. I'm laughing at how stupid they are.
I cringe every time I go to your Twitter feed. Please tell us what an idiot was this week.
I just told you all the people on Twitter that are
All of them?
idiots. Yeah. There's hundreds of them.
TJ,
I've got thousands of them blocked.
I know.
Man, it's hard not to give it to the obvious one. But how many? I don't want to. We're skyrocketing his credit here.
Thanks, Ross. Is that
Thank
what you're
you.
saying?
Is that the new saying? Thanks, Ross. Ross just wrecks Brad.
Somebody said NASCAR even tweeted it, or Fox put out
It's
a
a
graphic.
graphic, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
It's a
Ross.
hashtag. Thanks, Ross.
Thanks, Ross. What an idiot! Because we could just do that. Like
At least
they
he
could be
owned
with
it.
each other.
At least he owned it rather than being like, I don't know.
No, you know what
he's
the
talking about.
saying should be? What's it like? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Carl Edwards got away with it for years.
I'm not gonna lie. Next argument I get, I'm just gonna have Ross come over and apologize for me.
He's sorry. He didn't mean it.
Yep. Just gonna have Ross apologize for me. Ross, what are you doing later? When you get done at
My what an
Skip
idiot.
Barber.
My what an idiot is Andrew.
I agree with that.
Because if anybody understands sports, you understand that when you play fantasy football, if you pick a guy, you pick a quarterback, and he starts the game. Once he started the game, if he gets hurt and the backup comes in, you get that quarterback's statistics, right? Which is basically what happened with Bowman. Bowman went out. Josh Berry's coming in, and I had to get an opportunity
here
to
we
use
go.
Josh Berry because Andrew clearly. Do you follow sports at all, Andrew?
Yeah.
What sports do you follow?
You're not going to like this answer, but I follow
Soccer.
Yeah.
That explains a fucking lot.
pickleball.
What?
Soccer. He follows soccer, which
I
is why he
follow
doesn't.
soccer too.
So who?
Which is why he
what
doesn't
soccer?
understand how
Premier
real
League?
sports works.
Oh, so like European stuff.
Yeah.
So you love.
What'd you say? European.
Yeah.
What?
European.
you have
can't
to
say
turn
that on
every,
here.
every
So
word.
you like you're a big Ted Lasso fan, then probably.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So
Is Ted Lasso European?
he is now.
Well, you just
I
tied in
don't
European
agree
to
with
Ted
the
Lasso.
I don't agree with the idiot statement, Andrew. You are not an idiot. You are very smart.
So I just want to say, Casey, when you picked, who was it? It was Josh Berry.
when he was in Chase's car.
Casey didn't get Chase Elliott's.
Josh Berry didn't get hurt. Josh Berry got pulled from the car because somebody was able to come back. We all knew that was a
But if
possibility.
I had a chance to pick, then you would have a chance to pick.
That's
I
not how
didn't
it
get a
works.
chance.
So what's the problem here? You got hosed
He's
on
just
your pick.
yeah. He's
I
just
just
pissed
didn't
off.
get
So-
it. It's fine.
Casey
It's clearly
can
not.
still-
We have
Casey,
a soccer fan running a sports pool. This is the way this is going to go.
Casey can still pick Josh Berry.
So what do you
And
want to
you
do?
can
Go back
still
and
pick
repick?
Alex Bowman.
No, it's over with now, TJ. They didn't let
He
me-
wanted to repick. Who are you
I
gonna?
mean,
I didn't.
that's just how the cards fall here, man. I mean, you
Not on
can't-
an injury.
Sucks to suck.
What do you want,
Let's
a
move
waiver?
on to what an idiot.
Yes.
That's we're
Or
on
sorry,
Monday.
We're
DVC
already-
picks.
What an idiot. We're what an idiot.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's move on to DVC picks. TJ won, unfortunately, with Denny Hamlin.
Good
finishing
job,
fifth.
dude.
Let's
Denny's
make
Where are we
picks
going? Kansas?
Denny's
for
on that Dover
Kansas.
list, man.
Man, I suck since I'm not going to the racetrack.
Well,
all the time.
Bowman's won there before. You should.
Who are you picking, Brett?
Did I finish last?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get to finish at all.
Yep.
Oh, I don't know who I'm
DQ'd.
picking. You're going to have to kill all this dead time. I don't even know who I got.
Pull it,
I-
TJ.
I have Freddie's.
I'll tell you
I'm
who's.
not, I'm not picking yet.
I'll tell you who's struggling as a manufacturer.
Ford.
Ford. Like, man. I mean, I remember so many times in NASCAR history,
wait.
concessions are given. They need to give some concessions to somebody.
I think I saw a stat where this
I don't
is
mean like
the first
Pepsi and a
time
French fry.
in 10 years that the RFK cars have finished top 10 2 weeks in a row.
Yep.
Wow.
So been 10 years since consecutive weeks.
And that's a big accomplishment for you guys. I mean, obviously, you want to be doing it every week.
Especially at two really difficult
We are
tracks.
one Martinsville tire bouncing down the front stretch pit stop away from being 5th, 6th in points right here because we were running 5th, 6th in that race. Caution comes out, we get pinned a lap down. We lost basically 20 points that day because of that tire. We'd be probably 6th in points, maybe 5th. So it's a pretty Brad and this is just Brad and Matt and all the engineers and everybody there working. I mean, this is all stuff that was started last year that's showing now. I mean, it takes a long time for the results to show. But
the most honest I've ever seen Brad in an interview is he had a good finish, didn't win the race, and he got out and he was beat. I mean, you could tell he was physically whipped. And he said, we finished today the best we can finish. Everything went right, and this is as good as we can be right now. Knowing that he wants to be winning the race and knowing they have work to do. But he literally admitted, and I don't see many people doing this in our sport, not publicly, this is as good as we could be on this day. And he was happy about it, but knew there was work to be done.
Yeah, Brad's at that shop every single day from morning till closing time.
Wow.
Every day. I mean, then he goes to his other deal. I think he goes up there on Friday. But he runs the other business too.
Yeah.
But he is at that shop, meetings, making things happen. He knows every part on that car. He knows everything about him. He knows which direction he's probably one of the most intelligent individuals I've ever met.
Who is a director of competition over there right now?
I think it's Jeremy Thompson.
Okay, I don't know him.
Yeah, Jeremy's also a huge asset. He was at MB2, and then he ran Brad's truck stuff. And he's a huge asset as well. But yeah, nobody knows how hard Brad's working at this, and it's going to pay off. Brad knows what he's doing, and obviously the results we got one season under our belts, and you can see. I think it's noticeable this year. You can definitely see the more speed in the cars.
Yes,
and Matt and the engineers, and they're using the info and getting better. So
Martin Truex Jr. I think he goes back to back.
He's your pick. Who'd Freddie pick?
Freddie picked Christopher Bell.
Damn it.
That's a good one. Casey?
Yeah,
Toyota.
Those are my top two. I'll take Bubba.
Bubba was fast here last year.
That's a good
This is
pick.
where he right hooked Kyle Larson and was suspended the following race. Was at
remember.
Kansas Speedway.
Fall. TJ,
Man,
who's your pick?
I hate it because he's probably going to call me and yell at me.
You gonna jinx? Who you gonna jinx?
Tyler Reddick.
Oh yeah, he's definitely gonna beat my
That was
ass.
Freddie's backup.
So that was all Toyotas.
Yep.
We think it's gonna be the Toyota show.
They won
I'm
the
just
last
looking
two.
at guys. I'm not looking at manufacturer. I'm looking at a guy that I think I saw him kind of hanging out in the shadows there last week, and this is
Wonder if Steve Letarte on his podcast is going to talk about the Toyotas because we did. We just did an all Toyota lineup.
Guess we'll find out.
I think
don't
Bubba
know.
right hooked Larson at Vegas.
it was Vegas.
Was it?
Yeah.
Damn, they all look alike. I'm wrong.
Yeah, because they were going to fight on the front stretch. Remember?
Well, Bubba wanted to fight.
Well, Kyle don't want anything to do with it.
No.
Well, Kyle's obviously not a fighter.
What do you think Kyle weighs?
150,
Oh, you think? Yeah, I guess he does.
maybe. I don't know.
He's probably less than that.
I'd say 137.
Maybe like 170 once he fights him and gets in the sprint car.
140. 140 is the over-under. Kansas.
Should we just ask him, text him, how much you weigh, man?
Kansas is fun. Fun area. Fun town.
Yeah, they got a soccer stadium right next door.
They actually have some of the best chicken wings I've ever had. My buddy Dirty, who
why
drove.
don't you fix that
You
today?
remember Dirty? Drove Clint's bus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He sent me to a chicken wing place downtown Kansas City, and they serve you the whole chicken wing.
Curtis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They serve you the whole chicken wing, not just the flapper and the drumette separated.
Oh, so you got to rip it apart.
Yeah. That place was a bomb.
You eat the other half?
What other half?
Just kidding. You going to Buffalo today?
Where am I supposed to go to eat wings?
I mean, oh, man. I'll text you. If you're going to get some wings, I'll send you
Tomorrow's the day that I can get wings. I can't get wings tonight because I don't land until late.
So you got to just go where Josh Allen says to get the wings because that's like the guy. He's like the mayor of Buffalo.
Is he?
Streets after him now.
Is he going to be there?
You know, when they were reelecting, that people were, you can do like other or whatever.
Right in?
People were all putting Josh Allen on this. He probably would have won too.
That's funny.
So yeah, I'll text you some links. And if you see Brad up, well, this probably he'll be gone by the. When you leaving tonight?
I leave tonight. I'm there tomorrow, and I leave tomorrow night. Come home.
All right. Well, if you see Brad up there tomorrow, where are you going to be at?
An onion farm called the Big O.
The Big O. Are you bringing back some onions? I love onions.
Me too.
So bring some back.
Big O.
Big O.
Onion farm.
Sounds like no. I'm stopping. I'm stopping right there.
I'm excited about it. I think onions are the secret ingredient to everything you eat.
Yeah, because they're not. People think onion and think, oh, they're spicy. They make you cry. No, it's the opposite.
No, they're good.
Yeah, they're good.
I love onions.
I agree.
Yellow onions, white onions, sweet onions.
So what's the best one?
Onions?
Yeah, like what's the best taste?
I mean, I grew up eating Vidalia onions, which is a
that?
sweet onion. What,
Yeah.
Casey, why'd you make that face? I'm from South Carolina. It's a Georgia onion.
Nothing. No comment.
I mean, Vidalia, that's the town, right?
Yeah, Vidalia,
So,
Georgia.
yeah, I mean, maybe we just need to have a competition one day.
An onion eating competition?
Yeah, let's cook
I'll
some
make a
onions
good
up.
onion dip.
Oh, how do you do that?
Well, it's got all kind of stuff in it. A lot of
do Japanese volcano?
Can you deal with mayonnaise?
Yeah.
Okay. You like Miss Dash?
Oh, the salt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make you some onion dip.
Well, this is a riveting topic. So
I'm going to eat this onion dip while I watch Dirt Vision.
at Millbridge.
At Millbridge.
And then get tons of kisses after.
Denny Hamlin's idea is officially brought to life thanks to Dirty Mo Media with his Denny Hamlin Bracket Challenge.
Wow.
Yes, I know this was a hot topic.
What's an
last
entry
week.
fee?
It's free to enter.
Free.
Free to enter.
And
Yep.
up to it's $500 worth of prize packs, I want to say.
Nice.
Yes. So fill out the bracket for a chance to win a Dirty Mo prize pack with signed items from DH and Dale Jr. So worth it right there. Click on the orange box. You'll see it. Enter your full name and email address in the form. Click start voting and then hit the vote button next to the driver you think will win.
Not
Yes,
button.
That.
I see where they're giving my boat away in a charity again.
Are they?
Can I enter? Because I think this is a great idea.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be awesome if I entered that and won?
Yeah.
Win your boat back.
Dude, how cool would that
They
be?
wouldn't give you the boat.
No, they'd
I'll take it.
they'd pick another name.
They
There's
would.
some interesting round one matchups for Kansas. Chase Elliott versus Truex.
Truex.
Chase
Elliott ain't back yet. And I know he's back, but he ain't back yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So but you
Truex
never
is
know.
an easy win there.
Fill it
All
out.
right,
Fill
well-
out your bracket.
Right
What-
after the show, I'm signing up.
What are
filling
the
out a
other
bracket.
matchups? Give me another one.
Other matchups. Suarez Briscoe.
Oh,
That'll be
man.
good.
That's pretty good
that's
too.
a good
I think that'll
matchup.
be
Cindric
Suarez.
Stenhouse Jr.
That's another tough
Stenhouse.
one. That's tough.
Austin Dillon versus Christopher Bell.
Christopher Bell.
Yeah.
Toyota.
What?
But like this
That's
week,
a matchup?
yeah, because it's first in points
Versus
32nd in points and so on.
Yeah.
But
that's
like
how
this
they're doing.
week would have been interesting because I think Todd Gilliland would have upset Joey Logano, and there would have been a few other upsets.
You really don't
Kyle
know.
Larson
There
was
isn't.
out. Yeah.
There isn't like a sure answer to this either. Well,
Go fill your brackets out.
That's fun.
Right
Fans
after
need
the
to
show.
enjoy that.
I might try it out.
Denny's
See,
great.
once again, Denny has a great idea as an owner and a driver.
I hear you, Freddie.
He's trying to get people engaged.
Denny's great.
Well, I just think people misunderstand his comments sometimes.
Yeah,
and
no,
they get their
I
feelings
agree.
hurt.
Oh,
Well,
I know
he's-
someone
What,
similar.
what's said on podcasts shouldn't hurt your feelings.
Did
Or
you hear that?
Twitter.
Did you hear Casey call
Twitter
you
does
out?
not hurt my feelings ever. I promise you.
Damn. She called you out.
She didn't call me out because I
Sup?
don't. I don't.
What's up, Brett?
So
What's up?
Twitter has
Called you
never
out.
upset
on
me.
that note, really sorry to everyone who came out to Dover.
No. Hold up.
to-
Didn't you say you're going to fight a guy one time on Twitter?
I probably would have.
Well, you said it doesn't upset you.
I
If
don't
you're
mean I'm
ready to-
upset. I like to fight. What's hard to understand about that?
Really sorry to everyone who came out to Dover to see us live. Unfortunately, the weather won here, but hopefully we'll be doing it again at another track. And thank you for Dover for at least trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
Really cool. We met some awesome people this weekend. So
She got out of her car saying Dover was so hard.
And we had homework last week, and I want to pat myself on the back because we had to sign all our diecast cars that are going for sale on RacingUSA.com. Get yours today if you haven't already. I have signed all of my cars and have them ready for Wendy to pick up, unlike the other two hosts on this show.
But in my defense, I actually
Oh,
left.
here we go.
I left, and she's here, so I got to really layer this on here. I left Monday night. I left here, went home, packed my bag, left Monday night. Didn't get back until late Wednesday night. Left again. I was only home for one day. Left Friday morning, and then got rained out, and I spent an extra great day in Dover. But Casey came home early. She said it was a long week. She was home before the cup race would have ended originally.
don't get me started.
I just did.
Anyways, don't forget to subscribe to Dirty Mo Media's YouTube page for all the videos from the show. You'll also be able to check out What do you want to say?
Nothing. We got a guy like that too. His name's Vern, and he'd be like, "Oh man, I got so much on my plate. I'm so busy." And like, "What are you up to? What do you mean? What's on your plate?"
Okay. Dirt Vision will have the show available to watch this Wednesday. Free to check it out All you have to do is sign up. And then we will see y'all after Kansas.
We out, holla.
Have a great week.
Thanks.